Hello, it's so good to join you again as during the week we just kind of add a few more details to the book of Revelation that we can't get to on Sunday. And I just want to reaffirm our understanding of the epic battle that is in the book of Revelation is a battle that's happening from the very beginning. And the critical role that you and I play in this battle. Sometimes you ask yourself, Lord, why is it so difficult for me? Sometimes it feels like I'm getting hit from every side, and yet don't we understand that we're entering into the same battle that Jesus fought for on the cross and then is going to fight for at the very end of time? When you think about the fact that Satan is the enemy of mankind, he hates humanity from the very beginning. With Adam and Eve being tempted in the Garden of Eden, what did he want? He wanted nothing more to destroy them. But when Adam and Eve fell, this amazing promise came in Genesis chapter 3, verse 15. We call it the proto-evangelium. It's the prototype, the first giving of the evangelism, the good news, the gospel. And that is the promise that the seed of the woman, Eve, would actually end up destroying and crushing the head of Satan's seed, which is the Antichrist and all of the evil things that he's going to do at the end. But watch the battle immediately unfold. Because as soon as the fall happens and they're kicked out of the Garden of Eden, then you have Cain trying to, and effectively murdering Abel. And what was that? That was just Satan trying to stop the promise of a coming Messiah. And then there's the unfolding events like the angels of God, the rebellious angels. Well, they had physical, sexual relations with the daughters of men. And what was that an attempt to do? To corrupt the human line so that their offspring wouldn't be redeemable. There's no salvation for angels. Only God became flesh. And so if Satan could get this odd mixture of angelic and human, then the promise of the Messiah would be destroyed and then Satan wins. It's not going to happen, but he sure tries. Then after that, we find out that, there's this flood that happens that God did to wipe out these half angel, half human beings. And then Noah gets drunk from his own vineyard. And then out of that, then what happens? There's a curse that comes on his grandson. Well, what's that a desire to do? To curse the line of Christ that's about to come. Then after that, we have the Tower of Babel. And then the Tower of Babel is nothing more than Satan's desire to disunify humanity, to separate them. And the cure for the Tower of Babel was God had to bring separate languages, and it disrupted the unity, which, would cause people just to lose sight of the promise. Then after that, what do we have? We have Abraham receives a promise that there's going to be a great line through the Jewish people. But what happens? Sarah can't conceive. I can guarantee you that the devil had part in that. And so then, Abraham and Sarah, they had to believe God even into their old age that God would give them a son. And then Isaac and Rebekah, same thing. Their womb is closed. That's the working of the devil. But they had to press through and believe God, and God gave them their promises. I have more on my list. After that was the birthing of the twins, Jacob and Esau. First you have Cain and Abel, the unrighteous trying to kill the righteous, and you have Jacob and Esau. Jacob was going to carry the Messiah. Esau wanted to kill him. It's all amazing. It's all this great battle. Another thing was that we saw twice where in the promise of the descendants of David, a Messiah and a king was going to come. There were 2 times in history when actually all of the children of the king were killed, and it came down to one male that was going to carry on the line of Christ, and yet God was faithful in all those things. Some more on my list. What about Haman, who wanted to kill all the Jews? And he wanted to wipe out the entire Jewish nation. And then let's just get to the point where Jesus is born. Satan, the dragon, comes against the child that's been born in Israel. And so that demonstrates itself by Herod wanting to kill all the male children, 2 years old and under. And then we have the story of the city of Nazareth wanting to throw Jesus off a cliff. I've stood there with people that went on the tour with us and stood on that cliff where they wanted to kill Jesus. And then you have the leaders of Israel being tempted to stone him. You have 2 storms that rose up and it could have taken their lives. And Jesus rebuked the storm. Well, you don't rebuke storms. Satan was stirring it up. He wanted to kill Jesus. Finally, he takes him to the cross and he thinks that that's his victory. But actually, Jesus, when he was struck in the heel, turned around and crushed Satan's head. So I want to encourage you, believer, to know today that you are part of a great and an epic battle, and you be encouraged, and you fight until the very end. You keep the faith. You declare that you are covered with the blood of Jesus Christ. You stand in faith, believing with the full armor of God on, that you're part of a great battle. But in the end, you with Jesus Christ are going to win the battle. It's a great story, and you're part of it. It's so wonderful.